Welcome to Full Throttle Talk, the podcast where horsepower meets conversation. From supercars to classic legends, high revving tech to motorsport mayhem, we cover it all. Straight from the driver's seat, whether you're a gearhead or racer or just love the thrill of the open road, you're in the right place. Buckle up, hit the gas, and let's go full throttle into today's episode. Welcome back. This is Tim Harris, and this is, of course, your favorite weekly podcast about car stuff. And we have a very special show today for a couple of reasons. Number one, Julie and I, my wife and I, are broadcasting live from Monterey Car Week, and we're going to be posting a lot of Monterey Car Week stuff on Instagram. So if you've not discovered Full Throttle Talk on Instagram, you're missing out on all the videos. And as always, I have my wonderful co-hosts, my partners, Dave Van Epps, Casey Parkin, and guess what? We have Paul Kramer. Now, in case you guys did not know it, Paul Kramer actually has been laid up in the hospital for about 10, 11 days. He had a fairly major procedure done, but he is back. And he is full of piss and piss and vigor, more so than ever. So we are ready to rumble. So first of all, Paul, I want to start out by saying, welcome back. We've certainly missed you.
With piss, lots of piss.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Definitely the piss and who knows about the vinegar. No, thank you. It's great to be back. It's been 15 days in the hospital. And for those who don't know, I had what's called a hemipelvectomy, which is they removed about half my pelvis and my hip and half my femur and new prosthetic part, which is going to be a long road to recovery. But, the doctor asked, what's, your goals? And I was like, well, not die. Number 2, drive a manual Porsche. And then 3, we'll discuss walking.
Did he break you the bad news that the only thing you're going to be able to drive is an automatic Corvette? Did he tell you that yet?
No, I don't even think a Corvette has a chance. Right now, it's probably Macan. Macan's my best hope.
Or, you know what? Possibly a 993 with a PDK and grandma spec.
At that point, just take my leg off. I don't want it anymore.
Won't be able to get in and out, right? It's going to be too low. You're going to have a little time. You got to get a Macan GTS or something.
Or worse, a convertible, because I'll have to step into it and I'll be stuck forever with a convertible that I hate.
Life changes, brother. Roll with them. So let's start out with our normal first question. By the way, this week on Full Throttle Talk, we were talking about what did you do in cars this week? We talked about automotive news that caught your attention. Of course, Monterey Car Week is our focus. The next segment we have is this, that, or the other, your dream car for under 250 grand. I know 250 grand's a lot, but still, we wanted to have some fun with it. We got sick of talking about the obvious cheap GTI, is the answer for everything for under 30 grand. Anyway, next segment, assuming we get to it, is spoilers and wings on car preferences and listener questions. So first of all, let's start out with Dave. And because we have a big agenda, guys, be succinct. So what did you guys do? Dave, what did you do in cars this week that you think the listeners would want to know about?
Very interesting. The car behind me here, the fabulous Boho Targa 84 chiffon white car that I had planned to keep. Well, guess what? I sold it. So that car that was going to be my personal car, and I was going to drive around and enjoy all the boho interior and so on and so on. But I kind of put it up on a site, and boom, I got a call right away, hit it. It's on its way down to Florida right now. It got picked up yesterday. So sayonara, chiffon white car. And now I'm moving on. And I think the next play is going to be, and I don't have a picture of it, unfortunately, because it's over in paint right now, but I've got an 85 wide body M491 Targa in Guards Red that I bought about 6 months ago. Needed a little bit of paint work, and we're kind of restoring that car. It's one of 65 that were imported. That's going to be a neat car. That may be the one I hold on to for a bit, but that's a really cool car. So M491 wide body, looks like a turbo, not a turbo, and it's a Targa. So there you go. That was my week.
All right, cool. Casey, you're up next.
I sent you guys this in our group chat, but I was really lucky to find a really interesting car for a client. I hate to tease it on here, but I can't spill it until everything is done and the car is being shipped, because that cars aren't sold and or bought until they're paid for and move. But it's coming along pretty good, and I'm very hopeful. If you look at the box behind me in this picture, for those that are looking on YouTube, I had a client reach out to me and say, I've got some interesting old Porsches and some interesting old Porsche parts. The parts in this box behind me are brand new in-box GT2 bucket seats from the 997 generation, which will
Ooh.
likely sell for more than the
20
cars that
grand.
I own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I reached out to one guy that I know really likes seats. And if he doesn't take them, they will go on Bring a Trailer at no reserve to the highest bidder, including a really cool unboxing video, which I think will be, I might do the unboxing video anyway, but I'm pretty stoked on that. I had two
What kind of money
more,
are those, Casey? What kind of money would you be looking for those?
the
Because I may have
highest,
a client. I may have a client as well.
Could you guys
the,
calm down and let Casey talk? Rude. Damn.
the
I got
highest sale.
Casey, let me bail you out. Dave, the answer is put your bid on and bring a trailer.
Oh
Jeez.
no, I need the inside track, Tim.
The highest sale recorded, which was for a used set, was 30 grand. I believe that these would eclipse that.
Oh,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
too
remember
pricey for my guy.
I had a set of these in my man cave in 2011. I think I told this story before that I pulled out of a GT2 in 2008 because my client did not like them, and I sold them for $3,000. So yeah, still not as good as, Amazon stock or something like that. But I had two other cars that have been offered to me for resale purposes on auction platforms. One's an 86 cab, a Guards Red car, and one's a 2010 C2 Coupe and PDK. Long second ownership. Sold the guy, came in 2008, and a Macan in 2016. So prior client. And I didn't drive that much. I went for a great ride on the Vespa. But other than that, not much to report.
All right. So, Paul, we edited your question since you've been in the hospital recovering. And I know, and just recently you came off pain meds, no?
Oh no, still hard on pain meds.
Oh man, we are going to have fun with this boy today. So, Paul, this question comes from a very important fan, Miss Julie Harris. So, Paul's best drug-induced Porsche dreams.
And it's really funny because I have had the dreams are the things you're doing in the day, whatever's in your life kind of, subconsciously, seeks its way inside your dreams. And the picture behind me, Monterey Car Week, me and my dad, this is Tortuga, no graphic on the side, no rock chips. This car I've had now, this is either Monterey 14 or 15 at the latest. I want to say 14. There's my dad's 996 Turbo, my good friend Jeff St. Clair's SC hot rod that we helped him build. We are at the parking lot for the rolling tour on Thursday, one of my favorite days, where Haggerty has coffee and it's free, and all the Pebble Beach cars plus some are getting ready to do a 50-mile drive, and it's a who's who with, people like Jackie Stewart. I've met, Sterling Moss, um, countless other people, and so I have thought about this day, and first year taking my Tortuga to Monterey Car Week, and it was just one of those car weeks that just hit perfect. I've done, I mentioned, I've done every car week from 1998 to 2022, and and each year you try to make each one better. Like, how can we see more? How can we pay less? How can we avoid people? I mean, it's those three things we're constantly seeking out. And this year, is already our 16th time doing it, or mine. And it was just one of those perfect years, like truly perfect. So,
I have to
Julie,
say,
I dream about this day, Julie.
okay, well, so Paul, next year, Monterey Car Week, I think we should have a full throttle talk theme and definitely have more people out there that are fans of the show. But I'll say, having gone here for not quite as many years as you have, I would and now officially doesn't really start until today, tomorrow. There's other little small events that already happened, but the vibe here does feel a little bit different so far. And I'll talk more about it on Instagram, but I'm seeing, for example, the auction estimates actually seem reasonable. They're not these crazy ass auction estimates, not every single car, but like I was looking at Broad Arrow, Casey's got a lot of friends, and the auction, their estimates there are really in line with the market. Whereas, last year everything was overpriced and everything sold for less than, not everything, most things sold for less than estimate. But in any event, all right, so guys, let's go on to the next segment because there's a lot to talk about. Automotive news that caught your attention. And guys, remember to be succinct. We have a lot of topics to go through today. And I know this automotive news section as pertains, I'm sure mostly you guys are bonkers. So automotive news that caught your attention first. Casey, I'm going to make it easy on you since you've already got a visual up that's going to talk about what I was going to talk about, but go for it.
So I was really stoked to see that Porsche released the new GT3R and GT3 Cup car. I've got a number of clients that campaign these in different series. Turns out I had a conversation with one of them last night, and he has two GT3Rs on order, of which I will put a Group C curation sticker on the back of. He's planning on running them in IMSA and SRO because you don't need to change the car for both of those series, and they're both running on the same tire, so it's a significant less development cost. And it's pretty cool because the R has a 4.2 liter flat six with 565 horsepower, which is pretty insane.
And so you were speculating in the group chat that you thought maybe that would be the motor in the next GT3 RS. Do you still think that's true?
I think there's a possibility. I mean, they need to push the envelope. They need to make the car more exciting. They've been 4 liters for a really long time. Why not? Maybe detune it 550 horsepower, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be crazy because if it's an electric motor, it's obviously going to add a lot of weight. So we'll have to see where they go with that.
Yeah, I think the GT3s and RSs are going to continue to be naturally aspirated. I think GT2s are going to be a different animal.
I see. So along those lines, I'll do automotive news next. I'm going to leave you, Dave and Paul, with absolutely nothing to talk about. Though I did put some ideas in the notes for you guys, if you guys want to use my notes. So I have a question for you guys. There's a lot of yammering online about whether these leaked pictures. Casey, I want you to go loud to the Porsche dealership forever. And of course, you being the 997 global international interstellar expert, you might have some insights on this that we don't want to have. So you can spoil all the speculation in a second. So do you guys think that Porsche is gearing up to actually have a GT3 Cabriolet, or are the leaked pictures that are all over everywhere essentially a test mule for the upcoming Speedster? What do you guys think? Paul, you first.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that, and to have a GT3 convertible to me doesn't make sense when that's what the Speedster is. I mean, the 991.2 Speedster in my eyes was the first real Speedster because they actually put a motor in it that was special. Otherwise, they usually got the crappy base motor or nothing special, GTS motor. So I don't know what, like, if they did that, what's going in the GTS in the the 992 Speedster. So to me, it's got to be a Speedster. Typically, the Speedster, was it the 991.2 Speedster, the next generation GT3 motor? Wasn't that the thing about it that was cool? Was it got a newer GT3 motor than the current one? So I think it really rounded out and made, outside the ugly rear end, it made the car a really special car. So to me, it's got to be the next Speedster. And maybe they're doing this intentionally to create internet buzz and fodder.
What do you think,
Like
Dave?
us. I think no. I think it's definitely the Speedster. I think just the thought of a GT3 Cabriolet to me is just sacrilegious in general. So I mean, what's the point? It's like a GT3 Touring. It's the same idea, right? You're taking it to the nth degree if you put a cab on the thing as well. So I say absolutely not. I do think it could be Speedster though.
Casey, you can go next, and then I'm going to spoil. I'm going to kind of take the opposite stance, it seems, that everybody else is taking. So, Casey, what do you think?
I mean, I hope they don't water it down by creating a cabriolet, but I mean, Porsche's in the position right now where they need money. So maybe they saw this coming a while ago, and it's pretty easy to stuff an engine like that in a cabriolet. So who knows? That might be the case. I hope it's a Speedster. I hope it's something special, but at this point, I have no idea.
All right. Well, that's fair. My internet's a little sketchy where we are. We're at the Post Ranch, if you guys don't know where it is. So if I stall out, it's only for a second. All right. Thank you, Paul. I think they are going to make a Speedster, and I think that is a GT3 Cabriolet. And I imagine that the Speedster is going to have the ST parts on it, And I think and it's for the reasons that Casey just stated. There'll be a standard GT3 Cabriolet because Porsche needs money. And I think that's really the bottom line. And people will line up to buy it. So there'll be a standard GT3 Cabriolet option, and then the people will pay, too much for it. And then there'll be the special edition Speedster. The special edition Speedster, and even if I'm wrong, and if it is a test mule for just a straight up Speedster, then the next question is going to be, given the prices of the ST, and that car appears from the pictures to have ST front fenders on it and whatnot, what will that thing cost? It'll be $1 million car. I mean, it's going to be incredible. So what do you guys think from an automotive investment perspective? I've got a dog in the fight because I've got a 991.2 GT3 Speedster. But what do you guys think that will do to Speedster values overall? Casey, starting with a 997 Speedster, which is the rarest of all of them, didn't they only make 150 of those?
Yeah, not many, and they couldn't sell them when they were new.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
that was one of those 2011 cars that people had difficulties with. I mean, I'm sure people will get in line to buy a GT3 Cabriolet. I hope they don't call it a GT3 Cabriolet because I mean a GT3 is, it's basically talking about a car that's being homologated to run in in a GT3 class. If they did come out with some sort of really amazing speedster with carbon fiber fenders and doors and those sorts of things, it'd be a super rad car. Would it be worth more than ST? Probably not, because in modern history, coupes are always worth more than convertibles. So, I mean, that's why we always talked about Speedster and how Speedsters are low on the in valuation. 991.2 Speedsters, that is. And if you look at a commensurate 911R, I corrected myself the other week because I thought they were 400 grand, but they're pushing 500 to $800,000 depending on specification and miles.
Do you guys
Um,
think that's a really good point? Do you guys think that the newer Porsche buyer is more of a style buyer than the one that would give a rat's ass about torsion rigidity and only want a coupe? I mean, does that make sense? Because in the Ferrari world, the Aperta is always worth more than the coupe, always. I'm going to just with my question. I think just think about it. Do you think the newer Porsche GT buyer is becoming more of a style conscientious? I'm going to tee Paul up here. PTS, leather stitching, blah 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 blah, different tints to the carbon fiber, widgets and wadgets. A different buyer than, say, for example, Casey, you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with people wanting open Ferraris do really well compared to Porsches. I don't think it's because of anything more than the perception of the buyer thinking that historically 911 coupes are worth more. And so I think it's based on their perception of future value, which then sort of, truth in advance makes it happen. And that's really where they're coming from in terms of wanting a coupe variant of anything. And look at all the speedsters. The 991.2 Speedster came out with a big flurry, and then no one really cared that much. It's only the weird ones that are rare, like the 997, that were so underproduced. All 997.2s are worth a ton of money. But when the new Speedster came out, 964 Speedster, arguably, I think one of the best speedsters and the least desirable and the lowest value because they didn't look cool and they made a bunch of them.
Well, it's also, you said it earlier, Paul, they didn't have there's this, there were no motor differences or anything like that. And as far as what 991.2 speedsters are doing here at Monterey, I've seen two so far at auction. I think RM has got one of them. In any event, they're priced over 150,000 more than what they originally cost. So I think most of the stickers on those were like 335, and there's, a couple they're being estimated to be in the mid to upper 400s. So, I mean, there you go. But you're right. Compared to a 911R, it's certainly not the same experience. Dave, do you have any input on this? Any thoughts?
I mean, I definitely feel that to your point, I do think that some buyers, especially as they're aging and depending on the market they're in, they like these convertibles, and they do want to zhuzh them up a good bit, and as a result, I think that it's that particular market is going to continue to be strong. I'm always shocked by the number of people that buy 911 cabs. I really am. I see them all the time on the used market, and I just feel like it's a interesting car, but the minute I see cab, I just kind of run away from it because then it's just kind of a touring car. Really, it's not a performance car.
A hell of a
So
touring. We're renting a a red. I want you guys to visualize this, and don't visualize it too long because it'll make you slightly nauseous. Okay, it's red with red. So it's got a red top, all red leather interior, and everything is covered with red leather interior, a red exterior, red carpet, red everything. We've got it from Turo, and that's what we're rocking at Monterey Car
Well,
Week.
and
Go ahead, Paul.
you called it the hemorrhoid package. You
No,
missed
bro, you did. I got that.
no, you misworded it. It's the hemorrhage package.
Oh, that's worse.
Well, because it is. And all I think of is Beavis and Butthead when they're going to donate blood, and Beavis is carrying around a giant bag of his blood to make all this money, and it just explodes in the car. And that's essentially what you got.
Well,
So
but here's the joke. Here's the question. Who originally ordered that car? Like, who went into the Porsche dealership and said, listen, I don't want to talk about anything other than red. It has all the inlays, the plastic
Yeah.
inlays, they're red, which none of it matches at this point.
it was a phlebotomist ordered it.
All right. No one's going to do better than that. I was going with a, how would we say it? A professional lady dancer type, but here nor there. But
Tim, I wanted to chime in real quick. And I think that, and who knows, this might resonate with you guys, it might not. But for me, the archetypal design of a 911 is the silhouette. And up until 991, a convertible 911, the silhouette didn't look like a 911. In 991, they added the 3-panel magnesium roof that's really hard. It's the same one that's at the 992. So when you go out to your car later today, knock on the roof. There's 3 big magnesium panels up there that are covered. But I do believe that people of a certain generation, especially that can probably afford these cars, see that silhouette of a 911 and you can see it from 150 yards away and you know what it is. And I do believe that that's something that really is only carried with a coupe.
I agree. I mean, obviously, but again, I'm suggesting to you guys that there's a shift that's happening in the marketplace right now where there's a whole different generation of folks that are motivated by different things than we were. We're more traditionalists. We're more nostalgia and the romanticism of what you just said. But I'm not sure if these new people did. I'm quite certain that they didn't, because you'll see people that will be in a new GT3 RS one day and then they'll swap it over for a McLaren the next day, and it's the same buyer. That's what I'm starting to see. And again, it's I'm not criticizing. I think it's great. Buy the damn car so Porsche makes money and stays in business. All right, let's change and let's talk about this new GT2 RS. What are you guys hearing about that? Dave, have you researched this at all?
Yeah, obviously, still unknown on the styling and whatnot, 100%, but I think we'll know what it looks like a little bit. But very intriguing, this blend of the hybrid turbo and I mean, when I say hybrid turbo, the electric motor that's attached to the turbo that's going to spin up the turbo quicker, so eliminating any turbo lag. I think that's a pretty amazing development right there. But that's kind of already taken from the 963 and the current car's got that, right, Casey? What's the is it
Targa 4E hybrid or a
Yeah.
GTS 4E hybrid?
Don't you guys
GTS?
aren't you guys thrilled we haven't asked Casey? It's like we have
Yes,
Porsche
we
info
totally
bot.
haven't asked Casey. He's the man with the answers, so we know it's good.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I'm seeing the same things you guys are of the spy shots and so on. But I don't really know anything about pricing. I haven't heard anything there yet. I don't think anybody has. We're all just guessing.
Well, the speculation is that the base price on the thing is going to be $480,000, and I'd say that probably makes sense because the new Speciale Ferrari 296 is $480,000 before tariffs. So with the tariff, the base price, people get pissy when you say base price with tariff, base price without tariff, blah, blah, blah. But the entry price on a 296 Speciale before you put options on it is $510,000.
Mm-hmm.
Your average GT3 RS again is going to be in the unobtainium price range. That or a nice house in any Midwestern town is what will be your choice. But yeah, I mean, and it's also fascinating to me, frankly, just to annoy Paul in more detail in a second. But if you look at how the world order is being reshuffled with regards to Nürburgring lap times, and I know not everyone cares about that, and everyone says they don't care about it when their favorite car isn't doing good lap times. But these new Corvettes are absolutely kicking ass, and it beat the GT3 RS, the ZR1 did. absolutely spectacular. And frankly, I'd be shocked if Porsche didn't. I think you guys will all agree. So, Paul, you have not gotten automotive news that got your attention, but reading your notes here, considering you want to talk about EVs, can I blame the drugs that you're on and we can skip
No,
that?
well, I actually skipped it. I actually cheated a little bit and reached out to our good friend Greg Stanley at RM for some inside information of what's going on. And this wasn't really that inside information because it was published like a day ago or a day and a half ago. But basically, RM and McLaren are, specifically Zach Brown, are teaming up to do something they're unveiling today at 6 p.m. So you being our on-site reporter, Tim, you could be there at 6 p.m. at the Portola Hotel. There's something Zach Brown and Gord Duff, they're going to be doing something with RM, selling off McLaren racing portfolio spanning the era, which to me, it says it's going to be vintage F1 cars. And this always has been weird to me is, large manufacturers, big companies, successful F1 brands, like why would they sell off important cars? Whether it be a Senna car. Yeah, I know, Casey, it's money, but the problem is, like, that seems like a drop in the bucket. There's got to be more motivation. Why wouldn't you just keep your heritage cars, your iconic cars? Okay, yeah, sell a backup car, sell a car that, maybe didn't want an insignificant race. But like, I'm wondering, is this going to be one of the Senna cars that they have?
It is for sure. I mean,
Okay.
man, you got to also remember, Paul, when you say significant cars, think, for example, of just any. So I had a friend that had a Michael Schumacher winning Formula One car that he sold in Hong Kong or something 2 years ago or something for like $13 million. So, Keith, if you're listening, yes, I'm talking about you. And if you look, he and I were talking about what the value should be in that thing. It's like fine comps, because most of them sell privately. Do you know how many freaking cars Michael Schumacher raced in one freaking season between
Probably
practice?
30.
Yeah, it was like an enormous number. And how many years did he race for Ferrari? So when you think, well, why didn't they keep the car? They probably did keep the car. They're selling all the others that were just a step below the car. That would be my guess.
I mean, so my first thought was the famous, wasn't it McLaren that he was racing at Monaco, the famous video with him.
Senna.
I'm sorry, Senna?
The rain Senna drive. Sure.
It was.
Does that McLaren still own that, or is that already in private hands?
I don't know.
I mean, is that the car? Because like something like that, that's a car to me you don't ever sell as a manufacturer.
I mean, that video is almost as important as for McLaren history as like the original roof CTR video lapping the Nürburgring. I mean, it's up there. It's super important for McLaren's history. And I mean, I know a bunch of people that own. I mean, Tim and I have a buddy that we don't need to name his name, but he owned a Nigel Mansell car. He owned a Alonso F1 car that Alonso won Monaco in. I mean, these cars do exist in the real world. And I guess they squeaked out because throughout history they needed to get rid of them. But I know that when you go to Woking, like they have literally all these cars lined up. So I'm not even sure if you're able to track which car is which.
Let me add some color to this again, because you guys seem to be interested, and that means that probably some of our viewers or listeners are. So in the Ferrari world, a Ferrari will offer you now they sell privately too, but Ferrari will control the market, generally speaking, of the Formula One car, formal Formula One cars. Even when they're in private hands, they want to be doing the brokering of the cars, and they'll choose the buyers for those cars. And generally speaking, when you get offered a formal Formula One car, you just say yes. But here's the little interesting part: the car I just told you about, the Keith owned, that car was on display in Maranello for like a long time. So he would drive the car. Ferrari would ship it to different tracks with a bunch of Ferrari engineers, and he would drive it around, and then it would go back to Maranello. And so the relationship with Ferrari is you're allowed to buy a Formula One car. And when you own a Formula One car, I don't know if it works. You're automatically given VIP status to all the new stuff that you might be interested in. So to answer your question, Paul, with Ferrari, they are keeping control of the cars as if they still owned them, but they're making money on them. And then when they want to use them, you're invited to display your car in Maranello. it's not a, it sounds like a nice way of saying, would you please loan us your car? But really what they're saying is give us the damn thing back for an undetermined amount of time. Oh, and by the way, you have to pay to ship it.
Yeah. And that was, and actually, it's funny you brought that up. That was my first thought because I think of Ferrari's, what is it, the clientele program. And I have a friend who has a car in that program. And I was like, it's so Ferrari to make you want to stand in line and be first to throw gobs of money at them so that they can use your prized possession. Because one of my friend has one of the million Schumacher F1 Ferraris, and
Exactly.
he's part of the cliente program. And they have this whole great thing where he goes and does driving. They give him a pretty suit. It's got his name on it, and he shows up, and it's a ride and drive at a huge cost. But then Ferrari gets to have the car on display, whereas instead of sitting in their warehouse in Maranello, and I imagine McLaren has maybe a space issue. They're in England. There's not a lot of room, and maybe they thought, hey, you know what? We give this to the right person, and we'll still have access. It'll be out there more publicly. We don't have to deal with the expense of shipping it around and displaying it and whatever. So
That's right. Well, Zach Brown does have a big McLaren race car collection, as you guys probably know. So who knows what he's selling off. So in any event, all right. So anything else you guys want to touch on before we move to the next segment? Paul, do you want to talk about these pathetic electric cars? Because it seems like that's what Dave had.
no, that was just that was a drug induced moment of
Yeah,
what's coming. And I'm like, oh, fucking lucid.
and so
Sorry.
Dave, you know what? I promise you on this podcast, no one gives a rat's ass about your electric Ford truck. So can we move past it?
The number one
suddenly-
used to be the number one selling car in America.
Yeah.
I saw the truck and I
now-
thought, oh man, we're in like a Cal Worthington Ford ad now in Gardena. What's happening?
Hey, I'm just trying to appeal to the masses,
more
guys, right? I
oxy.
mean, this is a big deal for Ford, so we'll touch on it when it becomes bigger news. That's completely
That's-
fine.
okay.
That's
We can
next
move on.
week, Dave. We're on rich guy stuff this week. That's next
No,
week.
that's fair enough. Fair
You and
enough.
I can talk about poor people things.
All right, next topic. Or no, Casey, you have something interesting, and you said another client, something about. Oh, did you already mention that GT3RS? Tell us about that, or did you already touch on that?
We did. We're good.
Okay, cool. All right, next segment. We're moving along, guys. We're not stalling out. See, Paul, this is the advantage of you being on drugs. You're much more succinct, less rambly. All right, next segment. Auctions and reveals. Casey, that was your killer idea. That was the title I was talking about.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I really like that. So auctions and reveals, Monterey, and this is essentially things you guys are watching at the Monterey auctions, because remember, we're trying to keep it Monterey themed, and any reveals you might be excited about. And so I can set the tone really low, and I can get back into the everyman vibe along with Dave. I really think this new, you guys never take the bait when I try to get you to talk about this, which I think is hilarious. But this new Corvette ZR1X is crazy, incredible, rule bending. Oh, Casey's going to take a nap. Come on, Casey, wake it up. And so Corvette, here, I'm just going to say this, and you guys can ignore me because I think I'm right about this. I think Corvette, and I know, oh, they've always had the fastest car. Paul's going to say all of his things about funny jean cutoff shorts and New Balance tennis shoes. Let's skip all the obvious stuff, because here's what Corvette's doing. And I think this is badass. They are going to have at the Quail, which is about the snobbiest event you can go to during Monterey Car Week. I think the tickets, if you can find a ticket, they're like $2,500 each or something like that. People, trust me, it's really, really, if you want to go, if you care about going to see celebrities, that's where they're hanging out. Matter of fact, that's where I met Zach Brown last year. In any event, Corvette, along, so if you guys, Paul, have you guys, either one of you been to Quail?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
so,
not the Quail.
all right. So what it's difficult to describe. You can watch videos on YouTube, but there's usually Singer has a display. Koenigsegg has a display. Maybe Pagani has a display. And so all these displays, they're not really in a line, but it's not like a, long stretch of car dealers, but in essence it is. And it's the fanciest stuff, models imported from Italy, giving you cappuccino, giving experiences. And the cars are all like, oh, this one starts at 2 million, sir. Or would you like Pininfarina had a car there, that electric thing that they sold like 3 of. And I think it started at 2.5 million. Of course, Bugatti, the whole thing. All right, I want you guys to visualize that. Oh, and by the way, there's a guy selling bespoke yachts around the corner. So that's the vibe. Chevy, GM is going to have their ZR1X on display there. And they came out with a Quail edition, which is, again, I'm really reaching on this to get you guys to be engaged about the new Corvette. Anyway, so it's the Quail edition, which is a matte silver ZR1X. And if you guys click the link there, and maybe one of you guys will be as generous to show the picture of the thing, because I'm in a hotel room and I couldn't get my visuals together. But I think, again, this is going to cause a lot of stir in the elite supercar, hypercar aristocracy, because GM and Corvette have completely jumped the shark with regards to this product. Discuss.
Well, what I
What I
find
thought.
funny is as soon as you talk about Corvette, the three of us throw 9/11 pictures up in our background. It was like a visual protest
I
against
really
it.
love that meme that I shared.
Oh, God. Here we
and
go.
It was, I don't know what it was, but it was some cartoon. It might have been SpongeBob or something like that. But they were all excited that the Corvette with 1,200 horsepower lapped the Nürburgring and whatever. And then they've got the two cartoon characters represented as the GT2RS and GT3RS with like 500 and 700 less horsepower that are like right there. Can you imagine what a Porsche 911 would do with insane aero that had 1,200 horsepower? That would be like a 620 like lap record. I mean, it would be, I guess that's what they're going to do, right? But it's not going to be 1,200 horsepower. Anyway, yeah, Tim, I hope you get your Corvette. That's all.
Okay, you know
Trying to
what?
pull up a picture here. That's
There you
that's
go.
my
I got
challenge.
Paul's got it.
I
There
got a
you go.
picture of it. I got a
Oh,
picture.
there
of
it
it.
is. Okay. Okay.
I
got it.
challenge you guys to be more snarky than Casey just was. That was pretty good. That was level 10 snark. Go ahead, Dave. It was
Well, I
good,
mean,
Casey.
I'm surprised. There it is. Okay. I'm looking for where's the giant big wing on the back of the thing is what I want to know, right? I mean, is there any more kind of
Oh shit.
doodads that you can hang off this car right now?
Oh
There's a lot
Lord.
of doodads there.
Okay, so the ZR1X, now that you guys got me talking about it. Thank you for your questions, by the way. So the ZR1X is not going, you can get the doodads optionally, but this car is not going to be the GT2 version of the Corvette. It's going to be essentially the hypercar version, though the name hypercar is kind of silly. But so they're going to try to make this more of the gentleman's, supercar. This thing is, it's all the numbers. 235 miles per hour, which is very practical, I know. 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. Again, that's a good way to make yourself puke as the driver. All the things. But statistics aside, it's still incredibly fast on a track. So what they're trying to cater this car to the guy that maybe doesn't want the wings. It's a touring version of the ZR1. Maybe is the way of thinking about it. So you dumb it down for you guys.
But it looks more, I mean, it has a look more Ferrari slash McLaren slash Lambo, right? It's not Porsche for sure, right? It falls in and appeals to that kind of buyer. So, not my particular cup of tea, which is the real issue. But I mean, it's an amazing, amazing looking car. I mean, it's cool, just not my thing.
Silver is my favorite car color.
You know what? You guys can all go to hell. All right, let's move on.
There you go. I like what Paul's got there better.
Yeah,
That
that's way
was
cooler.
That is the first time I was at Quail. I entered my Renault R5 Turbo Tail.
Oh, you had an R5?
I did. It was
Oh,
no one zero
man.
cars, and this was when the Quail. By the way, I know.
Hold on. No,
We
this isn't
moved
going to
right
get
off
by
the
me.
Corvette.
This is not going to get by me. You guys just crap for 20 minutes on America's greatest supercar made by Americans in America in Kentucky. And as soon as he throws up a 1980 shitbox from France, Casey basically has to be stood back up.
Wee
This
wee.
This is a strange crowd, but along the lines, that R5 is totally badass. Those things are incredible.
We need to have our favorite, our quirky old cars and our experiences in them conversation at a future date, because I would love to hear more about your experience with that car, Paul.
Yeah, and then there's a time when Tim approves of it. The story of how that car got on the Quail lawn is insane, because it sitting there on the lawn next to whatever that is right there, which was it was something French also, but the whole section was a special rally cars, rally homologated cars that went from the 20 or 30s all the way up to current day. They had a Colin McRae Ford Escort there and some other things. But this was when the Quail was $350 a ticket. And my dad and I thought that was too expensive. But if you entered a car and got it in, it was two for the price of one. So then it became $175 a ticket. And then at that point, it was almost worth it because we felt that we could easily eat and drink enough to basically eat and drink $175 worth. And then we thought, okay, then we'll do it. And then the tickets went crazy. So then I
Well,
joined a
but
podcast so we can get a press pass so we can now go back free again.
at the Quail, there's different chefs that are operating in different tents, so you can go from one fancy ass lunch to another, to another, to another. But you didn't tell the whole story. You've told this before. So you're standing in line, feeding your face, and totally loading up on clams, I think it was, or some such thing.
It was oysters, and I'm looking for the picture of it, but basically, I'm standing in line in my quest to eat $175 of ticket value. and this is when I was a much more svelte figure. And I'm in line, and it's caviar. It's a station where you go through, you get caviar, and they kind of dump it on the back of your hand with some mother of pearl bullshit spoon.
And you snort it?
I tried that, and I found that was the wrong way. And then they had oysters, and I must have done the equivalent of maybe a ping pong ball's worth of caviar, which was a lot.
Because I just 2 balls.
I just put 2 fists out. I'm like, load them up, and I'm just, and then I had maybe 20 oysters, and I hear this voice behind me, unmistakable voice, going in a whatever British accent, and like basically save some for the fishes. And I turn around, and it's Alan DeCantone, and he's standing behind me, and I'm sure he must have been so tired, rest in peace, but I just sat there, and it just came to me because this was the era of, his famous video series that made, the
Victory
best Victory
by Design. Awesome.
Yeah, and I just go in my shittiest accent. I'm like, if I could have just one appetizer, these oysters and caviar, well, that's 2 would be my appetizers. If I could just have one.
That's
And
awesome.
he did the most courteous eye roll. And,
Casey, mention the name of that video series, because you guys are right.
Victory by Design. I have the copy of the Porsche one, but basically he drives these insanely rare, interesting cars and just has the greatest accent. He's a tremendous. I would call it. He's more of a connoisseur than an automotive journalist, but it's just fantastic.
He was a Formula One driver, wasn't he, Casey? Wasn't he an F1 driver?
I think so. I don't know,
Yeah.
but he's great. But he did one on the Chopin 962, which is one of my favorite Porsches of all time. Can't see it, Paul, unfortunately. Oh, there you go. Oh, how cool is that? Look at that guy.
Who's that dude?
I've
What
never
hair?
seen Paul without a hat on.
Hold on,
What is going on?
that's literally half a Paul.
there you go. Yeah, I was thinner. I wasn't broken, and I had all the right in the world to eat 30 oysters in a sitting. So
You look like
man.
a guy that knew how. You look like a guy that knew how to snort caviar, though. In that picture, I have to say.
oh yeah,
That's a great memory, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
Very cool.
We should talk about the Renault R5 in an upcoming show, because when you see one of those in real life, there's certain, like the 911 shape is like automotive perfection. That R5 is automotive perfection, not because it's beautiful, but because it is such a monster of a looking thing. It's so sweet.
I'll just spoiler alert: don't meet your heroes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we work on Simon Pagino has one of these cars.
Don't meet
He
your
lives
heroes.
around the corner from us here. And so that car comes here and he has us do work on it. Try to find parts. Oh my God, forget about it.
Have you guys ever driven a Clio V6? Paul, have you driven one of those?
No, my neighbor across the way who just bought that 996 turbo hardtop cab, he has one, and him and his dad have had it since 2008 in the US. And I'd see it come
Whoa.
out to Cars and Coffee Irvine, and I would start asking all these questions, and they were already fairly discreet people, and they would just walk away. Like, I don't know how that car's there, but he said when I get something cool enough that he doesn't want to buy, but he wants to drive, that's the deal. He'll give me the Clio to drive. I'll drive that. But he also warned me, knowing I had an R5 turbo, he said, keep the bar low.
Interesting.
I saw one of those Alpina
interesting.
things yesterday. The new ones. The
A110.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was.
man.
It was. And you know what, Casey? The car in real life is beautiful. I thought it looked a little
Absolutely.
funny in the pictures. Have you guys seen one in real life?
Yeah, I
No.
saw a bunch of them when I was on our Germany trip. And the irony is most of the ones I saw were owned by Porsche employees, factory employees. And I think that car, when it's let's say 25-year rule able to come in. I think that's going to have kind of the mystique of like a Nissan Skyline R34.
R34. Yeah.
Yep.
No,
But
Those are going to be coveted.
it is beautiful. Honestly, it was a gorgeous car. It was rolling down the street with a Ferrari 296, behind it. I thought the Ferrari was gorgeous too, but
Yep.
that Renault looked beautiful and it looked really cool.
What color was it in? Was it light metallic blue, which is why I think it looks the best?
Either that or silver. It was on the other side of the street in Carmel. So
And
I
they're
could,
probably
kind of-
it's probably that guy from that had the West Side Collector car
Oh yeah, it
storage
is.
guy. Yeah.
yeah,
is the one that Matt drove.
I tried to chase it, but he was driving. He got away too fast. I was going to try to get a video just to entertain everyone, but
Yeah.
I'll get it. Trust me.
Yeah.
If it's here, I'll find it.
Yeah, it's like Miata sized, very similar, but just a really cool roof line, very pretty.
And as far as the 25-year rule thing, Casey, that might not actually, I've been reading online that might change now that we have a little bit more of a different administration in place. So more people can bring in more cars. So just for what it's worth, because the cars are pretty much now all built to the same safety and emission standards globally. And if anything, the cars in Europe now have higher emission standards. So changing that whole dot thing is a, different conversation. But in any event, we didn't talk. I mean, as far as auctions and reveals, we don't need to talk about my Porsche one here that I have. But Paul, you've got a car here that you're saying you're watching at Gooding, which is kind of interesting. That I'm sure everyone will want to hear about. A BMW 3-liter CSL super lightweight.
Yes. So this orange CSL lightweight, we had one for sale. These are really rare, and because they're so rare, they're misunderstood even by car guys. I watched a very well-known car guy looking at this car, doing the preview, doing his YouTube video, and he could not have got the car more wrong. I actually had to send him a private message. The CSLs came out and they made 169 of these ultra lightweights, which there are estimate 50 left. They were the carbureted ones. They weren't city packs. These were basically Alpina and Schnitzer telling BMW, we want the lightest coupe E9 body you could possibly do. This car weighed in about 2,500 pounds, which is like 600 pounds less than a regular CS. And even the Batmobiles, it's like 300 pounds lighter. All aluminum hood, deck lid, doors, very RSR kind of thing, all plexiglass, thinner steel, same stock motor, different tuning, magnesium 14-inch Alpina wheels, no bumpers. Well, actually, no front bumper. The rear bumper is like a plexiglass kind of weird Bakelite thing. And the motors were still carbureted, which confuses everyone. The interiors are super lightweight. And these cars really are what started the M division. They're such important cars. And the bottom line is nobody gives a shit. BMW collectors don't care, even big collectors. So the owner of our building, this is his car. It's at Gooding. I don't think he listens to the podcast. Ours was nicer. Like, not just me subjectively saying ours is nicer, like serious BMW nerds who I have affectionately called Knights of the Roundel table, they know ours is better. We had a solid offer of 240,000 on ours. And by the way, the 169 came in Colorado orange, which is this, Inca orange, which is ours, which is like a tangerine, and golf yellow, which is like a tennis ball yellow, kind of a greenish yellow. And there was one on Bring a Trailer that sold about 8 months ago. It was a color change out of Italy. The only thing going for it was pretty dry and pretty complete, but needed a full restoration, which you can figure is about $230,000. But it had all the really, really rare parts, and it sold with fees for 180 grand. We had an offer of 240 we couldn't put together, gave the car back to the owner. This has got an estimate of 250,000 to 325. If you look it up on Classic, it's gone through the auction thing a bunch of times. This owner has probably run it through, he's owned it since 15 or 16, and he's probably run it through the auctions at least 3 times, Gooding and RM. So it'll be interesting to see, because if this one does do well, maybe some of the tire kickers we've dealt with will come back out of the woodwork and make an offer on the car, which is right now in storage in Orange County.
So, Dave, what are you watching at the auctions? What are you seeing? I see that you have got some interesting Porsches to get this back on track. Dan, Paul, what the hell are you doing talking about something other than Porsches on this podcast?
Right. So,
Well,
Wow.
I had this one too, which is coming up at RM, but or Broad Arrow, but we can talk about that later.
We'll bounce
well, this,
back and
well,
forth
th-
because the first car he's going to talk about similar to the one you're about to talk about. So, Dave, go ahead.
Well, this is an '87 turbo that Broad Arrow has, and I think this one's going to be priced about right in terms of where it'll go for. I'm watching, and Paul, you can, and Casey, obviously anybody can chime in here as it relates to values on turbos, but turbos were through the roof a few years ago. They were nuts. I mean, everything was a couple $100,000, and then it seemed like things kind of fell back, and you were finding turbos in the 130 to 150 range. And I'm sure the best of the best cars will always bring more money. And this looks like one of those cars. This is an 18,000 mile turbo. I think it's got 18,500 miles on it in Dunkelblau, dark blue paint. It's got a kind of a linen colored interior with a marine blue belt line. Really nice color combo. I mean, it's a really attractive color combo on these cars. And I think the estimate on this one is 225 to 260. And if I had to guess, I bet you this car falls right in the range. It's gonna hammer a 250. It could go more even. I don't know, but it looks like a really beautiful car. I I find turbos to be not as much fun to drive just because I can't drive them in the mountains the way I want to drive these cars. I mean, they're great fast line straight cars and things like that. But there's an audience for turbos that if it just says Porsche turbo, anybody wants it. So this will be a collector. Unfortunately, it probably won't see the road. It'll just end up in someone's collection, but it's a beautiful car.
So, Casey, I'm not forgetting about you, but Paul, go ahead and talk about that slate gray one. That is that the original slate gray that they had like starting back in the 60s, or is that a
No,
different
it's
slate gray?
it's the 964. I think it was either a standard color or a slightly upgraded pay. It wasn't PTS, but it was slate gray metallic. So I saw this pop up on Broad Arrow, and I'm like, I know that car. And yes, sure enough, we sold that car a few years ago, and we sold it to a guy, and it's changed hands a couple times. This guy chased me down so hard for this car because it was dream car and this and that. He had it for less than a year and less than 1,000 miles because he was swayed by the COVID crazy pricing. Let me just pull up my notes on that. It just disappeared. But anyway, so this car, it's a 1991 964 turbo, slate gray leather, 34,000 miles. Broad Arrow has an estimate of 285,000 to 325,000. I sold this car on June 21st with 28,000 miles. There's my picture from when I sold it. And I sold it for 175,000, which everyone thought was a home run, like
What
well
year,
sold.
Paul? What year?
91. So it's a 3.3 turbo, not a
No, no, no.
3.6
What
turbo.
year did you sell it for 175?
June of 21.
Okay, got it.
When you
Sorry.
look at the market,
That was a
June of
big,
21,
that was hot. That was a
because
hot
literally
time.
Yep.
a black on gray one sold 3 months earlier with the same miles by driver source in Texas for 125. So, so yes, this was slate gray. I thought it was a better condition car. I mean, it was a fabulous car, but the point was like, this was my indication that this was patient zero for the beginning of the market to take off. And turbos, going back to what Dave said, 930s, anything air cooled turbo, or even wide body air cooled, has this weird tendency to take off in the market. It'll spike really quick. It's sort of like uh, middle to last to go up in value and the first to come down. And when you look in classic and bring a trailer, you'll see air cooled turbos have this really sharp spike. And I always tell people with them, and part of the reason is going to Dave's thing is I always said 930s or any air cooled turbo does not test drive well. It is a thinking man's car. It takes 6 months of driving it to just calibrate your brain because you look at the car and you're like, oh, it's a 911. I know how a 911 drives. And you try to drive it like a 911, even the 5-speed variants, and they don't. And once you figure out it's a whole different language, personally, I love 930s. And I probably love them just to be a contrarian because everyone else doesn't like them to drive in a mountain road. And I had a 78 Andile turbo that I had for 8 years. And it was to this day the fastest thing I've driven in the canyons. And it was fast, scary. And once you learned how to dance with the turbo, it was such a fun, engaging car. So
Hey,
that's
Now,
my
Dave,
take.
Paul,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Tim.
No, Dave, while Casey's talking about what's catching his eye as far as what the auctions are, why don't you put the picture of this next one up? Because I have no idea what this thing is. It sounds like a beast. Go ahead, Casey.
Paul, I had a question for you. I've never driven a 964 turbo, which is strange because I've literally driven most other turbos. How different is it compared to like a G50 89
Not
3.3
much.
liter? Not
No, that's
much?
the trick. I love the 96433 turbos because to me, they are an 89 930 with the last few bits of sort of rough edges sorted out. So
Right.
suddenly I think they look beautiful and they drive very much like a 930, but with the suspension, I think the biggest thing is suspension and power steering. It really makes it a fun car. And you got to remember that this is the end of the era of rear-wheel drive turbos. You have the 3.6 turbo, which ironically is like 30 more horsepower. I've driven those. They're twice as much money and negligible difference in driving experience. And I personally think the Speedline wheels look like trash and
Oh,
ghetto. I know. I'm
stop.
sorry.
That sounds like something Dave would say.
They
Oh,
are.
well,
I I
Casey.
I I I think guys who like Corvettes like Speedline wheels.
Oh man,
I'm gonna have to work hard. Casey's got a sarcastic
that is
bent that we didn't know
fighting.
about.
Anyway,
Wow.
done asking, Paul. But that is a beautiful car, Paul. The first car I picked up was, I think, is an interesting car. It is a 2017 911 RSR. This exact car was offered to me for an amount that I won't disclose because I'll disclose it after the auction closes. But I have a client that really likes 911 RS RSR cars, and we were chasing one. I do know that Maxted Page basically has a fully naked, still an original delivered condition car with no miles on it that I think they're asking, last I checked, 1.7 to 1.8 euro, which to me seemed like a ton of money. This car is being listed on, and from what I can research, even though it does look like the Coca-Cola car, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but according to the provenance on the Gooding website, it was retained as a spare car, so it was never professionally campaigned. And Gooding is estimating this car at $3 to $5 million. The 2017 911 RSR is super important to the history of Porsche endurance racing because it is, other than the GT1, the first 911 that had the engine spun around and it's placed in the middle. And they did that so they could do the underpinnings of the rear diffuser. It was the first time that it was allowed for that platform. So it's a huge car for the history of Porsche. And I have no idea what this car is worth. The interesting fact that the estimate is $3 to $5 million. The fact that I'm bringing this car up is because of my history with it, and if it goes for that, I think it's significant. I could see the car that, with racing history that might have. I know Porsche had the Pink Pig car, and they had the Rothmans livery car that won in Le Mans or ran in Le Mans in 2017 or 2018. Those are very significant. I don't believe this car is nearly as significant as those, given its race history or lack thereof. But it is still a really awesome car, being that it's done in that Petite Le Mans livery from 2019.
So, Dave, back to you. This is a hot rod. Is this an Emery hot rod? So, if you guys aren't
it
watching this
is
on YouTube, yes. All right. So, this is an Emery hot rod 356. The floor is yours.
cabriolet. Yeah, cabriolet. It's a 356 that was built with a polo motor. So for those who don't know what a polo motor is, instead of basically the standard issue four-cylinder that would have come in these cars, 1600 cc roughly, and probably, I don't know, 90 horsepower, something along those lines. If that, this car has been souped up by Emery, and it has a polo motor, which is a six-cylinder Porsche 911 engine that's effectively had two cylinders cut off from it. And Paul or Casey or someone may know the way that actually gets done. but it makes 185 horsepower or 180 horsepower, I think, in this case. And with 2,000 pounds, which is what this car weighs, I'm sure it's a blast to drive. Now, I've not driven one of Emery's cabriolets, so I'm not sure what happens with body flex and those kinds of things. But with the pricing on this one or the estimate, it's falling into that range. I mean, you can't buy a new Emery car for probably less than 500 right now. I mean, I want to say that his off the shelf starting price is 375. By the time you add whatever you want to build the car
Dave,
custom, you're going to push
I
500.
I can help you here. So we had one
Yeah.
ordered. We had one ordered that we backed out on because the wait went from 3 years to like when you get the car, and then I lost interest, frankly. And the Polo motor is originally was a Polo. What's the Greek guy's name?
Polopolis.
There you
yeah.
go. That's where the Polo number, and he was taking a 964 motor and he was essentially removing two of the cylinders. But on what Rod is doing is I think with Ross Sports, they actually cast their own block, believe it or not.
Yep.
So it's not a Porsche block. And it doesn't make 180 horsepower. The new ones, and I don't know what that one might actually have. I doubt if it has a Polo motor, and I bet that has a Ross Sport motor
Does.
in it.
No. Well, this one does have a Polo. It's called a Polo motor in the description, at least.
And
Okay.
and by the way, the way he did it was he took the cylinders out of the middle.
Yeah.
Took
Okay.
the two
There
middle
you go.
cylinders out, and then the end cylinders became the engine.
So what Rod did, I think it was with Ross Sport, is their motor makes 260 horsepower, and the Emery Special. So that's not just a normal Emery. So the normal Emery starts out at 400,000. Now this was 3 years ago. Who knows what they start out for now? And they go up from there. But that's an Emery Special. So the specials, those cars have been selling for 700, 800, who knows, and a lot of them sell privately. So if you wanted a special off the menu stuff, a little bit of this and the other thing, you're waiting years for a car like that. I actually heard from a couple of friends of mine who have cars in restorations who are thinking about buying cars to restore, that the average wait time, and you're going to appreciate this, Dave, is now 6 years from start to finish to get a car restored. 6 years. I mean, you have to really love that car to be still wanting that on the other side. A lot changes in 6 years.
That's just too long. I mean,
I
it
agree.
takes that too long. But if you've got the demand and you've got a lineup of people and chassis waiting to go, I can understand. I mean, it is what it is. So, fortunately, we just don't have we are not that buried in business that we have to quote that long. Now, what do you guys think this car sells for? I mean, it's listed at 500 to 575. Will it
What
bring
year
the
was
number?
it built?
Let me see if I can find it. It's the car's a 64. I don't think it's
No.
going to say.
What year was it? What year did
Right.
Rogers
No,
thing?
I'm looking to see when it was built here. If it shows it doesn't say here in this description, so I don't
I
know.
would say to get over the 500, it's going to have to be a more modern Emery build, which would be
Exactly.
18, 19 and newer. Not his transition, either Oregon stuff or transition from Oregon to LA.
Yep.
Doesn't say. I can't
But
find it.
I would say if it still has the key is if it still has the Polo motor. If it still has the Polo motor, I don't think it's going to get to 500, because I think that buyer will spend more and get a Ross Sport motor car, which has a bunch of significant upgrades to the chassis as well.
Totally.
And
It has like you can put
he was on
964 rear suspension on those, the newer ones
Oh,
too. Sorry,
wow.
Casey.
He was on Spike's Car Radio recently, and it was a really great interview. So check that out if you guys have a chance. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was good. Very good.
Rod and his family, when Julie and I went to visit him in LA. First of all, I'm glad to hear he's getting the hell out of that location in LA because that place was sketchy. But you talk about a quality group of people. It's astronomical. Did you guys? Who was that gal that was doing those Sydney Sweeney?
Yeah.
Okay, but did you guys like when Julie and I were there and we were going on this tour? This wasn't when Rod was showing us the shop. This was in 2021. I remember that Jeep. It was a Jeep, right?
A Bronco.
A Bronco, yeah. I remember the Bronco, and I remember a blonde gal working on it, and I assumed it was Rod's daughter, and it may not have been. It may have been Cindy Sweeney working on her. But it was. But how cool is that? I mean, that gal was actually, welding stuff on her own freaking Bronco that she was restoring at Emery's shop.
And going back to that, I've known Rod. I've known his dad actually for probably 30 years, and then I met Rod through his dad. And even while being sick in the hospital, Rod's reached out several times, and he's a busy guy to just reach out to me and offer kind words. We've talked. I saw him at Airwater, and he spent 15 minutes with me, kind of laying out his Wrightwood new compound he's building. He gets so into body panel fitment. If there's one thing Rod is into, is body panel fitment, and it's insane. And he's so busy, but he just always has taken the time out for me. And I think a lot of manufacturers like Gunther Works and Singer have these long runways, and I think a lot of them have clients that just lose patience, and maybe they get a customer car that gets turned in, and it's like that's fine. But I think he has this cult following because it feels like you said, Tim, you're buying it from this really genuine family that cares and super passionate. My Jennifer and I drove up to Oregon for his last Emery campout in 17. And I so hope he does that again because it is like air-cooled Porsche, Lufka Cult, and Burning Man all come together. It is the most strange experience. And I'm camping out of our Tortuga next to Jeff Swart, who drove from Aspen in his 61 356. And he's camping next to me with his dog and wife. And it was unreal.
I
You
remember
know,
when we finished at Rensport reunion, my buddy Yuri and Steve and I, we had just lost the restoration challenge closely, but Rod and his wife, and I'm pretty sure it was his daughter, were there, and they didn't know us from Adam. And I met a bunch of my Porsche heroes at Rensport, the last one, and they stood there and talked to us for 20 minutes. We were nobodies, and it was such an amazing experience to be able to share the passion with them, and made me a believer. I'm not a big kind of resto mod kind of guy, but I've seen a couple of them in person, and the build quality is exquisite, and I love what they're doing. But that conversation alone sold me on them.
Yep.
but let's just make this practical. The thing that I wonder about with regards, and I get what you guys are going to say, it's a different market, and you're right. But what does a 4-cam 356 coupe sell for now? And if you
A million, high
$1,000,000.
six, yeah,
okay,
800 to a
so
million.
would you rather have an Emery special hot rodded 356 or a 4-cam 356?
Four cam.
Well,
Four
but
cam.
see that, but the Paul reaction is what the traditionalists will respond to. But I think a lot of the buyers that Rod's selling those cars to maybe have those other cars, but also are a different type of buyer. That's the thing I haven't quite figured out from a marketing perspective. But go ahead.
But I was just say the thing I appreciate, and yes, I appreciate the quality and so forth. And I think if I had the money, as much as I like Rod and the family and the cars, they're not really for me because to me, I know here's what if Porsche kept building a 356, it might become. And to me, yeah, Porsche did keep building a 356. It became a 911. It had to become a 911. And so my issue with that is that are you really getting the 356 experience? Maybe, maybe not. But what I appreciate is the 356 market in 2015, as the first boom of Porsches was winding down, was pretty much dead. No one cared about 356s. And I think a lot to do with Rod, the whole desire to buy A coupes and ratty cars and then go hot rod stuff has really reinvigorated the 356s. Otherwise, they were headed the path of the Model T.
Well, 356 market right now is pretty flat. I mean, it's flat to declining.
Flat for driver cars. Like if you want
Yeah.
a B, a T5B, a 6061B coupe, they're a great car and no one really cares. The people who call me who want a 356, they want a C or an A coupe and they want a Will Hoyt motor in it. So they're looking for a budget Emery, which even that by the end time it's done is going to cost you 150 to 200 for sure.
Yep. All right. So, Paul, how are you doing on time? Because you're the one that's literally in the
I have
hospital.
plenty of time. I have plenty of time.
Okay. We should show people your background. Can you remove your screen so they can see actually what your environment is, so they know what you're doing actually? Because when we were saying Paul's recovering from a major operation, he is literally.
I will give you a tour.
There you go.
Oh,
So
nice.
So I'm in this crazy bed. It's a room to myself. I'll spin around here. That's where my visitors can sit, and I can look down on them like a feudal lord. My daughter and my wife made this really killer sign. And now here's the best part. I don't know if you can see that building in the background.
Is that the Nakatomi Plaza?
That is the Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah.
So my
Good job,
first
Casey.
Casey,
Good
exactly.
call,
Nailed
Casey.
that.
So my first night here, it's dark. I got the windows up. Everything's lit up outside. I am watching Die Hard with that in my background.
That is so rad. Did you
So
see anybody?
imagine that
Oh,
on multiple both oral and injected happy drugs. Die Hard. You know what? Fuck IMAX. That's all I needed. That was actually spectacular. I've already Zillowed all the property values because if you went that way, you could see downtown LA. But you know, you can get a 450 square foot no bedroom, just a flat with one bathroom for 550,000, which doesn't sound bad for being in Century City. But how much do you think the HOA fees are?
35 to 4,500 a month.
It's like 2,500.
Okay.
So
jeez.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
which is
ridiculous.
not tax deductible. So anyway, but this has been my I've been here since Friday night. So this is my 5th day. I will be here for 2 more weeks.
So for those of you guys who are wondering if we're committed to the podcast, there's your proof.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll go to something better.
Casey, you've got bringing this back to Porsches. There you go. Oh, actually, Paul, what is this? What's your Volkswagen upset? Oh, I know what those are. Go ahead and talk about that. Those are awesome. So if you guys aren't watching us on YouTube, you're kind of missing out because we're throwing up the car pictures in our backgrounds. But go ahead, Paul.
Well, you said this is the queue up for this or that or the other. So it was your
Okay.
dream car for under 250,000.
Then don't jump on
Right.
my segment
I won't.
transition, dude.
I
I'm
won't.
working on doing this correctly.
All right, what do you want me
Rude.
to talk about?
Yeah, you're gonna blame the drugs.
Tim actually
if-
progressing like linearly through our Google
Yeah.
Doc is super
I am-
impressive.
It's wild. It's wild.
I'm doing my best.
How about this? I will chime in now, and
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about the 993 Turbo S. I'll just leave it at this. Broad Arrow, because of Ramsey Potts and because of Ray
Ray.
Schaefer, really have the 944 Turbo Cup market cornered. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the car behind me belongs to Anamoya Garage because I know that they had put this up on their Instagram a while ago. They made 38 of these cars for the Canadian Rothman series. I could share some videos and that kind of stuff, but being that I recreated one of these for the Restoration Challenge, I know way too much about them. And I've driven 6 of the 38 cars. I've driven Rays a couple of times, but they're awesome. They're a really cool car. It's got a matter roll cage. It's got a bunch of magnesium parts on it, like the intake manifold and those sorts of things. They're great cars. Like I said, Broad Arrow has really brought these out of the woodwork. My buddy Gail sold the Dicom car a couple of years ago at Airwater, which is why I went out there. Great guy. It's a really cool series, and they seem to be a really good example that's not been absolutely smashed. Seems to transact in the 150 range. The non-driven cars, I did a video series on a Das Sport car that sold a couple of years ago at the Porsche auction. It was a red one that Jerry Seinfeld ended up with. And then Jerry Seinfeld also bought the one from the white auction, which was a non-raced version. But these cars seem to be trending in that 150 range. And I think it's a ton of money for the car. I mean, it's a very, you take this thing to Cars and Coffee, you will win the majority of the Cars and Coffees you go to. The one behind me is being sold on bill of sale only. I'm pretty sure you could get a title and a tag on it if you tried a little hard. But anyway, it's a great car. It's going to go to a great home, I'm sure. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's the Anamoya Garage people, and they have represented a number of these really cool ones over the years.
Casey, so what's different than a standard 944? I mean, by the way, did you say magnesium intake? Am I right here, guys, that magnesium has a tendency to be flammable? Isn't that like one of those
I mean,
things?
you could say a 911 engine case would explode in flames too, but so the car has 3 key pieces of magnesium on it: the intake manifold, the sump for the engine, and the wheels. Those are the big differentiating features on these cars. The interiors are stripped out. It came with a passenger seat in it. It's got a matter roll cage in it. It's basically an 88 Turbo S. They created the Rothman series in 87, 86 or 87, if I'm not mistaken. They ran naturally aspirated cars. And then they ended up switching to the guy in Canada decided to do it because they wanted to boost sales. Then they switched to turbo cars, but the turbo cars were really quiet. So they put a 4-inch straight pipe on it from the turbo back that's actually used. They made them out of like they made them in the pits because the cars were really boring and quiet. So they're built out of truck exhaust materials from back in the day, and those are super expensive if you need to find one. But they're awesome cars. They're really cool. They've got really super expensive mirrors that if you can find them are about $3,000 a set.
I mean, my problem is, so you said they're about $150,000. That's what they're
Yep,
trading hands for.
for
And
a really good one.
for a really good one. And I look at it going, gosh, how much is the 924 GTS that you had the last time I was on the show? How much is I know they had different variations, GTSR, turbo. What's the base one of those ones, homologated cars going for? 200?
Oh no, I don't think it's that much.
Yeah, so like that to me is a homologated special car. This is a niche racing series. Take stock car racing, take a stock car, do a few fancy pieces. So when I look at the price tag of those, I'm like, if I wanted something special transaxle, I think I'll go for a 968 Club Sport, or I'll look for the 924 GTS, which I think are just more interesting cars. Because every time I see one of these, especially when I'm at a Cars and Coffee with someone, and I forgot his name, who worked for Audi, he had one for sale.
That's him. That's
That's
Gail.
him. Yeah,
Yep.
Gail. And he, wanted me to represent the car, and he wanted more money than I thought it was worth, which I was right. It just struck people as it was so nichey. You had to tell a big story. You had to be the guy standing next to your car, like the Alpina Tim, ready to tell a big story about your car to explain it. Um, Otherwise it's like, oh, cool livery package. And so I know they're special, but like to me, they're worth half of what they're trading for in
All
my
right,
eyes.
let's move on to the next segment, just because I want to impress you guys that I can
Wah,
actually keep to the
wah.
schedule. No, you'll like the next one. All right, the fourth segment is this, that, or the other, your dream car for under $250,000. And we're going to present three different options. And I might need someone's help with the visualizations on mine, unfortunately, because I'm in a place where I didn't prepare. But I'm going to ask Mr. Kramer to go first. And so again, we're going to show you guys three different cars. And let's go, because there's a lot of content in this segment. Let's kind of be succinct. Paul's going to jump into used car salesman mode and really try to sell us
Yeah.
on his favorite one.
Yeah.
And then we can get through all of what
Yep.
will end up being 12 different options. Go ahead.
So really quick, I have a picture of it. On the left here is a Volkswagen Rabbit GTI Mark I, and here's one. Notice the difference? One looks like it swallowed the other one.
Hey, Paul.
Yep.
Paul, that looks similar to the picture that you showed us earlier when you were at the Quail. And it's like, I won't tell you which one you are now.
That's me with Alan DeCantonet. That's me in the hospital. But anyway, in '79, a German automotive inventor, his name was Gunter Arts, and it was this whole mystique where maybe Porsche hired someone to do some testing with 928 and keep it secret. But basically, he took a Volkswagen Rabbit and he basically crossbred it with a 928. It's got these weird rear seats. I think those are Volkswagen-ish seats. The whole cockpit looks just like a regular 928. It's got the regular 4.2 liter motor, I think, or 3.8 V8. It's like 300 horsepower because it's the European version. And I have always, always loved these cars. They're the ultimate sleeper cars. I think this guy made two or three of them. I remember when this one came up, it was in rough shape, and I want to say it sold in like 2019 for over 100 grand. Then the guy restored it, and so now I think it's worth, considerably more. That has the phone dial wheels, etc. So, do you want me to go through all of them real quick, or that's one
Yeah,
of them?
let's go. Okay,
Yeah,
so we
then
have
we-
we have the jazzed up Golf 928, which is unbelievably cool. And next up, your other two options are you have a
Yeah,
964
this was a car the 964 turbo. It's a 91, another 64 turbo. My friend Tate out of Georgia, he bought the car. It is got the engine from Jeff Swartz, Pikes Peak winning 964. It's a 3.8 Andile motor. The Andile, because Jeff still owns this car right here. It's still his car. He wants the motor that's in this car because that's the original motor that came in this car, but it wasn't the original motor. Andile for Porsche Motorsports loaned this CIS motor that they made like 8 of them for. It's the highest producing CIS turbo motor ever built. And it was just for Pikes Peak, which Jeff won overall. And this is when Pikes Peak was still half dirt. It was a C4 all-wheel drive, narrow body with his turbo motor. When I had this car for sale, and we did a magazine article for it, when I had it for sale, and there's the magazine, and there's, Thin Paul driving it. Jeff tried so hard to buy this motor back to pair up with his car, but the owner wouldn't have anything to do with it. And it is basically a 91 964 turbo, stripped down to the bare metal, painted pastel blue. It had about 4,000 miles on the build. It had a G50 52 5-speed transmission that was rebuilt for 700 horsepower. Obviously had the 600 horsepower Pikes Peak winning engine in it. And the build went on and on. Oops, wrong car. Let me pull up the interior of this car. And it had a
You're
really
saying
cool...
you're for sale or was for sale because these are supposed to be under $250,000. That looked more than $250,000.
No, well, so I was trying to sell this back in 19 for $175,000, and the highest offer we got was $125,000. The downside is it's a little bit, it's not like a Gunther Works finish. It's a little bit rough. It's a driver's car. So at the
I've
time,
rallied with that car before with Tate.
oh yeah, it's a monster. But at that time, the guy who wanted to spend that kind of money wanted something finished. I think it's still in the same condition. I don't know where it is, but I would guess today, if it came up for sale in its condition I had it, it would probably be $250,000. And it would be a hard sell because the guy who's going to spend that money, once again, wants better paint, better interior, less of a driver's car, something that's more Singer-esque and a little more showy. So, and then can I skip to the last one? Are you okay with that?
No, please. 2008 so far, everyone, hopefully you're understanding the Golf 928, the 91 964 hot rod that he just talked about, and the next one is a
2008 997.1 GT2. I think these cars are really important cars. They're special cars. And I still think the market is totally asleep. They don't care because it doesn't have an RS on the back. But this was the last manual crazy turbo Metzger thing you could buy. After this, well, no, I guess the RS was the 97.2 RS, GT2RS was still a manual. They made, I don't know, you might know, KC, like a couple hundred of these cars.
So as the 997 guru of the world,
yes,
Paul, what is the one feature that car pioneered? And I don't know if you can do it in a 2RS, but what is the one feature that car had that no other manual transmission Porsche has?
Is this besides photos with the hood still open, even though it's
that's nice. Yeah.
It's really classy.
No, it's the only manual transmission Porsche with launch control.
Oh, wow.
This era got the 97.1 got launch control.
That was because all of the marketing had, pretty sure it was that car had that car next to the space shuttle launching. And it was
very cool.
Of course, they offered that in Corvettes 10 years ago, but that's okay.
And remember, I pulled the seats out of one of those cars and sold them for $3,000.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I actually gave a set with the 997.2 GT3, to close the deal and sweeten it. We gave him a set of, carbon buckets that are now $20,000. But anyway, this one, timing wise, just closed a couple days ago on Bring a Trailer out of Florida, 40,000 miles, hammered for $225,000. So that's $232,000 with fees. It had a minor ding, like just damage, something stupid on Carfax, but it looked like a car that I would love. Miles on it, you could drive
awesome
it.
Car.
Okay, so
stupid sport buckets. Here you go. There you go. The stupid sport.
So
buckets.
you see how Paul goes into sales mode. He can't stop himself.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to go between Paul, considering you're on a lot of pain meds, I cannot tell a difference between Paul not on pain meds versus Paul on pain meds,
Maybe I'm
honestly.
always on pain meds.
Yeah, maybe you need pain meds to put up with me. All right, so that's what Julie says. All right, so you have the choices were the 997.1 GT2, and Dave, you're going to go first, and you're going to choose one. Be succinct with your answer. 991 Porsche 964 turbo custom hot rod with that on-dial motor, which evidently, if you ever wanted to sell the motor, you could probably sell it for over 100 grand. Or the crazy 928 Golf. What would your choice be and why? Choose one.
I'm going with the air-cooled 964, just because I like the idea that the car you can drive it, right? I mean, the restored 928 or the 928 Jetta combo or whatever, I think that's just a little too funky for me. And then the GT2, nice cars. You know how I feel about certain that's a good looking car, don't get me wrong. I mean, but
What you're trying to
I
say is
do I
you hate 997s is what you're trying to say, and that is
no
the heart
no I mean
that is the heart of the
been down
problem
this
with you and
path before.
Casey.
We've been down this path. No, but I'm going to stick with the 964.
You like 997s like Paul likes 993s. You can all be honest on the show. All right,
Yep.
Casey, you're next. Between the three, which would you choose?
Real quick, real easy. GT2. Paul, why did they pull the motor out of Zwart's car?
Well, the thing about the motor was Andile loaned it for
Ah,
Wow.
Porsche Motorsports, and then they sold it to Brumos Porsche. They're technically the owners of the motor. And then our friend Tate, Dave, he went down there, and it was just one of those times. I think it was maybe when Brumos was selling or something was transitioning, and he was in the right place at the right time. But when he got the motor, he had to send it to Chris at TurboCraft in Arizona. And I would say he spent 2x the purchase price of the motor just to get that motor to work. It is a really difficult motor to get work. And Tim, did you pick which one? Which one did you pick?
I probably would choose the same one that everyone else seems to be choosing, that 964, because the history with that's kind of cool. And even though now you're telling us the motor's a bit of a one-trick pony, I'd still probably want something like that. And because the fact, yeah, exactly, it's a good trick. But despite the fact that you're saying it's a little rough around the edges, I'm kind of rough around the edges, so I kind of like that.
You say that. You want to be rough around the edges, but you're not, Tim.
Damn,
That's so
you
true.
do know me
That
well.
is so true.
You
If it
want to
didn't-
be urban and raw and
Is it that
you're-
obvious? Is it truly that obvious?
look at your
But
shirt.
it has a paint chip. No, it's got a paint chip.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
he's gonna PPF as soon as it's done. And you guys are actually
Julie is sitting over here literally rolling in the floor laughing her ass off. That's not, you guys are mean. You guys are a freaking bunch of bullies.
I
Yeah,
came
I
to Car
know.
Week and I'm staying at this fancy hotel just to get pummeled by what I thought were my friends. You guys actually chose right. I chose the 9642. And if you get a chance in the notes, I did put the link to Matt Ferris smoking tire when he was doing one takes. This is from like 10 years ago, right when Casey Tate got it sorted out. And Matt is got a really good taste for things that are drivable and good. And he fell in love with this car. And when I had it for sale, I drove it to the Trancas Cars and Coffee. And funny thing is, Matt Farah and Pat Long both knew this car, both drove it. They came right over to me. In fact, I think this is how I got to know both of them pretty well. And they could not stop gushing about this car. Jeff Swartz driven the car in this format. This car is a special, special car. And the only thing it misses is air conditioning because it does make it unbearable to drive. It gets so freaking hot in there. But
I happen to know somebody that can put air conditioning in that car for $9,000. Send it to Dave at Sunworks. Casey, you are next with your three choices. It seems like under Paul's options, we all went for the same car. So
I chose the GT2, but with
Well,
the provenance of the engine probably would push me over to that. I need to do a little bit more research on that car, and I'll comment back.
But the problem is, Casey, as the Grand Poobah of 997, it would be heresy not to pick the GT2.
Well, if
You would
we ever
lose your
got
title, you would be out.
if we ever got to the section of the podcast where we talk about cars with spoilers and which ones we don't like, you would see that I do not
we're never
like
going to
nine.
talk about it, dude. It's been
I
in the
don't
notes.
like
We'll
nine.
never get to
We're never going to get there. It's been in the notes for 7 shows in a row. And I'm sorry, because I can tell by your comments that you spent like a lot of time putting your stuff together. We're never going to get to it.
So I don't like 964s when they put the spoiler up. So Dave's car is completely out. And I don't like cars that have ducktail spoilers that shouldn't have ducktail spoilers, which gives me some issues with the your 964. But it does sound like, being that it has the provenance of that amazing engine, it's probably rad. And I'm probably watched that smoking tire video a bunch of years ago. But so I came up with three cars. They can be any versions of these cars, but in interesting colors. Car 1, MFI Carrera. Paul and I have gushed on these before. This particular car sold on Bring a Trailer. It was a while ago. It was a little over a year ago, and it's probably gone up in value since. But it's kind of ugly. I think it was owned by some Shah or something like that. It had an interesting pedigree to it. It's brown with a brown interior with gold wheels. But a super nice, really well sorted MFI Carrera is car 1. Let me switch over to
Hey,
car
Casey,
2. Yes, sir.
not everyone's going to be knowing about these older mid-year cars. That car was essentially had the underpinnings of a 73 RS, which
Exactly.
which a dodgy one of those dodgy. Listen to me. Which let's say a non-pristine version of one of those that evidently, according to you morons, I'll never want because it might have a rock chip on it. But so those cars are going for like 600,000, and like a really nice RS might go for like over $1 million.
Yep.
But those cars, those 74, they were never sold in the United States. The U.S. versions of those mid-year cars that they also call Carreras were for a long time very undesirable. I don't know how that's worked out over time, but just to let everyone know, in case you didn't know, that's actually a special car for more reasons than the unique color options. So sorry, Casey, go ahead.
My next one, I mean, yes, you've hit the nail on the head, but basically it is a 73 RS with impact bumpers. And it's half the price and it's half the worry, or a third of the worry, or a quarter of the worry. But there is, as Paul and I have just talked about, and Dave, I don't know if you've driven one, but there are a few things that are hard to beat than MFI engines. Paul, are you a 000 subscriber? Is anybody here a 000 subscriber?
I haven't in a while.
So the newest issue might be one of my favorites because they talk about the SCRS, which I think we could talk about really weird Porsche cars. But the SCRS is the most batshit, most interesting, possibly the most significant Porsche race car that nobody talks about. And I'll leave it at that. But that Porsche was putting MFI in that car in the early 80s because it's the only way that they could get the throttle response that they wanted to make that car work.
That was a 3-liter too, wasn't it?
It was,
the US
yeah.
version. Yeah, that was a really cool car.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that some other time. Car number 2, this particular car I think was sold by Merit Partners. Bert and the guys there have helped me out before, and they're a great outfit based out of the Atlanta area. It is a 964 RS that looks a lot like mine. This picture makes that fender look like it's a different color, which doesn't do it much justice. But I know it's hard to match Polar Silver. Take your car to Dave. He will get your Polar Silvers to match.
They all look
But
a little funky there. I mean, they always do. It's the angles
No.
of the metallics that actually make that shading and so on. But yes, I
Yeah,
understand what you're saying.
I
Carry
hear
on.
you. I hear you, Dave. Don't make excuses for paint work. Anyway,
Casey
it's
is really
yeah.
saucy today.
So
Very
anyway,
saucy.
I
He's
love
on muds too.
I love Polar Silver. I love Carrera RSs. This one checks all the boxes. This car is also in the mid to upper twos, as we've discussed. So I went a little bit over my
Fine.
my trajectory there. And then the last one is I tried to be as predictable as possible. And
The
I only brought this car up.
997,
I
what?
only brought this car up because
997.
I want Dave to really just tell me it's a piece of junk. This
It is not a
particular
piece of junk.
this particular example, actually, I thought it was a 911R car just from the photography, but it's a 12,000 mile 997 RS. I think we've talked about it before. Then first generation 997 RS, I think might be the best driving of the 997 RSs, even compared to a 4-liter, which is 4x the cost, 3x the cost of this car. It's just the rawness, and for me, it was a very it was a very interesting and important time in my life. I actually saw the other day the first 911 RS that I ever sold, which was a green one that was at the DC Auto Show. But this would be, I mean, for me, of those three cars, this would be the car I'd choose.
Oh, hold
This
on,
is a
Kramer. Are you actually using that urine holder right now? Because if you are, you can just take a little. We can give it a little break.
Hold on a second.
You got a funny look on your face right now. It's making the viewers a little
No, just
uncomfortable.
sitting in a bed for so many hours starts to grind. No, but
Yeah,
I could. It's funny you said that. I was thinking about that. I'm like, I could pee and they wouldn't know. I
yeah. You
could
know
do that.
what? We could tell because we could tell you were thinking it because your facial expression started to change. So just Casey, you've got really amazing choices. You
I
guys,
don't even know where to go with this. So when I start talking for too long about 997s, that's where Tim goes.
I did. You're
goes-
picking it up.
He goes
I
right
was
to
trying
whether
to
or not
round.
Paul is pissing or not.
I was
By the
trying to
way-
round. I was trying to round the button in case you're picking it up with what I'm
Yeah.
trying to do here without being too
Yeah.
demonstrative. All right,
I
so-
did the same. I did the same
997
thing when he
RS.
talked. I did the same thing when he talks about Corvettes. So
yeah,
I
but
just
you're-
roll my
You're not.
eyes.
You're not as polite, but we can. You know what? On this podcast, the universal "you're rambling for too long." Should we start talking about urine? I think that might be a thing.
yes,
All right, so those are really awesome choices because I was just listening to you, explain each of them, and I honestly would have a hard time choosing. So I'm going to go last. So Dave, between those three, which would you choose?
I'm going to just throw everybody into a complete tizzy here because I'm going to take the 997 GT3 RS.
Okay.
And only because that particular one you have behind you, there's just something about that combo, even though so many of them were white, that I just happen to like a lot. I mean, that's obviously still a fantastic car, and I'm going with the GT3 RS.
Paul.
it's in my opinion the GT3RS to have even a chance at being a choice for me. It has to be orange or green, and I think white is just orange. That car is iconically orange or green. In- in-
100%.
and I love the Euro Carrera. They are so special. It has to have a ducktail. I'm sorry. This car looks. It just looks. I want that
These are
car to
also
look better.
kind of hypothetical, Pauls. You can make it whichever you want. These three cars are not indicative of my choices,
No,
but in that range, yeah. I mean, you can't a green one won't be under 300 grand.
You're right.
You could get a pumpkin or a reverse pumpkin for probably about as much as a white one.
Yep. Or
And
the
and
silver with the orange.
but
Well,
yeah, definitely silver 964.
I'm going to throw this out for you
Yep.
guys because
Silver 964 RS, my choice by a long
okay,
shot.
mine too. That would be my choice. But I'm going to throw this out to you guys for the listeners and for the three of you. There are two of those versions, 997.1 GT3 RSs that are for sale but not advertised anywhere at the ready for it Chevy dealership in Murphy, North Carolina. And I only know that because we have a cabin there, and my neighbor took pictures of the cars, and they're sitting in the back someplace. But there you go. So if you guys are looking for unadvertised 997.1s, and one was orange and one is green. So there you guys go. Okay.
Yeah, Tim, we'll talk off. I've got a guy looking for one of those.
I don't
Let's
know.
talk after this.
Casey, I've got no connections. You'll have to call him yourself, but it's Murphy. So there's only one Chevy dealer and you won't have any problem finding it.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. Okay. So I would definitely go with the 964 RS2 all day and twice on Sunday. But you know what? Just for what it's worth, I ran into Canepa. This was maybe, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago. Maybe actually, now I'm thinking about it, it's longer than that. When I was asking him about 964 RSs, and he reminded me that they made a crap ton of those cars. They made like 3,500 of those. So of those three, I would think if value retention was one of your bugaboos, that you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but the 74 Carrera 2.7 would probably be the most special car in terms of the one they made the least of. True or false? Do you guys know?
I mean,
That
possibly.
probably not made the least of. I think that probably the 997 RS is probably less quantity than all of them.
That's
I think
incredible.
I think the 997 is the better value buy in the long run because of what Casey said. But people forget production numbers don't drive value. 73 RSs, they made a shit ton. Speedsters, they made a shit ton, and they do really well because they're special light cars. I think 74 MFI Carreras have always been like the last invited to the dance party. They're always riding the coattails of the 73 RS. They're always sort of the redheaded stepchild, misunderstood, and they always run a fourth of the value of an RS. In the end, you're right, Tim. The 964RSs, they made a bunch of them. They'll have a stagnant period, but the thing holding their value is their young timer, their newer cars. But in the long run, the 997 GT3RS will have the legs.
Well, let's jabber about this for just a second, because I want a 964 RS, and that's definitely on my short list. So one of those cars, I've looked on classics.com, and if you guys aren't using classics.com, look at values. They really do a great job. But those cars really have been flat in values for at least 5 years, while other certainly modern Porsches have gone through the roof. And what is that all about? Why are there just too many for sale? Are there just, I don't know. Explain the market of 964 RSs, guys.
Well, I think the 964RS market is driven so hard by color. We're talking 100% of the value is color. So
Wow.
really, and here's the irony is, I think maritime blue, which is the holy grail color, I think maritime blue is the highest value car and the most produced RS. And then you have Ruby Stone. I would say maritime blue and Ruby Stone are the most desirable cars. And those, like if someone says, I want to buy a 964RS for collectability, even the special, what was it, Casey, the
NGT.
NGTs, which they made only a handful, those should be the most valuable. They never are.
Well, it's
Yeah.
because it's got a full cage in it. So, I
Right.
mean, it's super. I mean, when I drive the ones that I'm looking after, like that one and the 993 Club Sport, like it's super dangerous. I don't like driving cars on the street with full cages in them, unfortunately.
Without a helmet,
Yeah,
100%.
no, it's really dangerous.
It's totally.
Yeah, but I love I mean, as a 964 owner and a guy that aspires to someday own an RS, and I've told you before, 964Ss are insanely great cars right now. But fuck, this is going to sound really bad when I say this, but I really enjoy power steering and I really enjoy air conditioning. Those are things that I'm not in the position where I can own 10 cars, so I can take out a 964 RS from time to time. So that's what would push me towards that. But I do believe that when you lose a little bit of those creature comforts, it changes things. The fact to me that RS Americas, which we can talk about at another time, are almost as much as Carrera RSs is mind blowing to me, because the Carrera RS, it's a seam welded car. It's super special. It's a tremendous driving experience that on paper, it's like those 88 Club Sports. It doesn't make any sense, but when you drive the car, it makes it so special. But I don't know why it doesn't appeal to more people to really drive up values, especially because 964s are so expensive.
Perfect. So Dave, you have your three options and
I
you
do.
ready to rumble? All right, let's
I
go.
am
Sorry,
ready,
guys.
ready to rumble.
They moved up my PT, my physical training. I have to go. I'm so sorry.
All right.
So,
Hey, Paul, good luck. I know that's hell for you, literally. So good luck
yeah.
in getting through all of it. And, God bless you, man.
All right.
Good luck,
Thanks,
Paul.
guys. We'll
See
see
you
you later.
soon.
All right. Bye.
All right, Dave, you're up.
Okay, and we're running long, so I'll keep this quick. I mean, for me, based on everything that everyone has just said, I won't dwell on this Carrera RS. I think this one is a 92 maritime blue. Obviously, did not sell. It was a no sale on this car at 204 was the high bid. So obviously, I think this is going to fit into the bucket of, 275 or less, but I'm not sure how the market is currently on a Maritime Blue RS, but that's a very pretty car like that one. Another one, this is a 97 993 Turbo S. This one did sell. This one was about 231. Classic color combination. Great looking car. I mean, I wish Paul was here to mock the 993, but I still do think the 993 is one of the best looking Porsches ever, made. I think
Hold
they're
on.
Wait,
beautiful
what
cars.
year? What year did
Yeah,
that
Casey
sell
and
for
I saw the same thing.
231?
Yeah, exactly. Casey and I saw the same thing.
That gives me a
2018. It's
No, dude.
2018.
Hold on. That is
I was 14 years old in 2018,
You
Dave.
were not.
he's in his early 40s. Casey, look at the back fenders on that car. That's
the way they
got,
came. Yeah, all Turbo S's had that.
all right, but there's a turbo, man.
Sorry, what was that, Tim?
Yeah, say
Your
that
phone,
again,
you
Tim.
dropped
Turbo
out.
S's are not less than 250 grand.
No, Turbo S is that car. I mean, the one that I care for was 20,000 miles, just sold for 600.
Yeah. So
There's
are
a
you just,
yellow.
yeah. So Dave, are you just showing us a 993 turbo?
Well, yes, I am, and I happen to just pull this one up off of Bring a
Okay.
Trailer. But
Okay.
I
Got it.
mean, this car. I mean,
Dave will give
I
you a
did.
pass. They're awesome
Well,
cars.
thank you. But this car's 67,000 miles, right? It sold a few years ago, but I mean, is it tripled in value in 5 years?
You
Yes.
know what? Casey and I just busted you. You can just, just play it out. All right. So the next one you have is this
Okay, well, forget that one then. So
no,
let me
no,
throw another.
let's just assume it wasn't a, unobtainium, $1 million 993 twin turbo S model. It's just a standard 911 993 twin turbo for less than 250 grand. Now we're all on the same page, especially in silver. All right, so this next one is this crazy. Whoa, that is incredible. What is this?
That is a Bailey Cars, South African builder 917K, built by Bailey out of South Africa. As I said, this particular car actually happened to be a Daytona, 24-hour Daytona historic winner. Um, this car did sell recently on Bring a Trailer, as a matter of fact, and I think the number on this one is 250, sold for 250. But it is a extremely well done. There's probably 3 or 4 guys around the world that will build a legitimate 917 copy. There was a guy out of Australia, LMK Cars. I think he may have retired. Bailey's still doing it. This car has got a 3.4 liter twin turbo motor in the car. And it did win like class winner, Group A, historic race, historic series, but not the kind of car. This is one of those, you got 3 dream cars. This was our challenge here. Come up with the 3 cars that
But
you would
what
have.
I think
This
that
one would
car,
sit in my garage, obviously. What am I going to do with this?
well, but this car, if I remember correctly, was on bat and it was
Yep.
the body was fiberglass, but so were the original cars. Casey, if I'm wrong,
Yep.
correct me. I'm pretty sure I'm not.
Yep.
But didn't that car also have plates on it, like street legal?
I don't think this car is street legal. I don't believe it is.
You can
And
make anything street legal in North Carolina.
No,
yeah, well,
you can make just about
Montana, you can. Yeah.
yeah.
but
Let's
this
see.
car, I mean, this is a pretty car. It's a
It's
really
awesome.
nicely done, really well built car. I mean, and from what I've been told, these cars are probably as close to original as you can get. I mean, they're really well executed and close to the originals. So to me, you know, a $250,000 version of this, because I guarantee it costs more than that to buy one new. I just think that's a sweet little car. So
And
those are
that
my
has
choices.
well, so I want to make a good decision here before I choose which one of these things I'm going to infect my garage with. What's the motor in that 917 is a what?
It's a 3.4 liter twin turbo. I wish I had a picture of it to throw up here. I'm sorry, I just can't do that quick enough. But it's
Okay.
an air
Probably
cooled
really
motor.
fast.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
like ridiculously fast. All right, so Casey, you go first for the three. Which would you choose?
Uh, I would,
Come on,
I
Casey.
mean, it would not be that version because I did see that car and I followed along with the auction. If they would have put the spoiler down and pulled the stickers off the side of it and changed the corner lights to the correct color, I guarantee the car would have fetched a lot more. I pick a 964 RS out of the 3 cars that you chose.
Taking off the vinyl and putting those amber lights on and pushing the button unless it's broken, which they are often broken, to make that spoiler go down
As a
is
964,
that,
I know 964s have broken spoilers all the time. Trust me, I know.
yes, and I have one as well right now
Yep.
currently. It will not go up.
Well,
So
there's drugs for that, right? There's a couple Cialis and there's so if you got that problem, I mean, but anyway, so which would I choose? And you can go last, Dave. I don't want to be so damn predictable. Um, I probably would. I would choose the 993 turbo between those three. Actually, if I had to choose, and because I'm considering the other cars I've got right now, and I don't have something from that vintage, and I have never had a 993 before. Paul's always talked me out of them, but that's probably what I would go with, just to not be so obvious and pick another Carrera RS. What would you choose, Dave?
I'm taking that. And the reason I'm taking the 917 is just because, A, I think it's just the most epic. For me, this is just the quintessential Porsche race car. And having it, at least with my business, it would be easy to justify the expense. I'd be taking
Totally.
that thing around to all over every show. I mean, it's just a gorgeous car. I just
You
think
know
it's just
that
a beautiful
truthfully,
car.
that car in your showroom, right when you walk in the front where that would be 100% a cool car. And that is those 917s. The thing that you don't realize is it looks like a big car in pictures, that it is a small ass car. That car is probably proportionally, it's wider than a 911, but I bet you it's not as long as a 911 of the same
I
vintage.
think
I
you're
could be
right on
wrong.
that.
Yeah.
I do, unless the early cars, the long tails, obviously longer, um,
Yeah,
but I just
quick
think that car is
story. Yeah,
fantastic.
quick story, Dave. 917s are great, and I think I've told you guys about the guy that I know that's owned a whole bunch of significant race cars throughout history. But he owned the 1971 Sebring winner, which was the Martini #3 car. And he said that's the car that he regrets selling the most out of everything. And he owned F1 Longtails, 962s, GT1s, all that stuff. And the 917 is the one that he said meant the most to him.
All right, damn it. I've changed my opinion. I want the 917 too.
Good
You
job, Tim.
sold me.
Good job.
You sold me, Dave. Because you know what? That would be the most fun. And you're right. You could put plates on it. And where we keep our little collection in North Carolina, you hardly see anybody else around on those crazy ass mountain roads. So that would be
That'd be
an
pretty cool to
absolute
drive on some mountain roads. I'll tell you
yeah.
that. That
But
would be a fun
unfortunately,
car.
it would spend half its life at your shop because I don't start it enough, and I'd foul the plugs and have bad gas
Yeah,
like all the other cars I send you.
absolutely. So you should buy it instead, Tim, and then you can send it to my shop. I think that works out perfectly. We'll see if
Yes,
the guy wants
hell,
to resell it now.
damn, I just got tricked, didn't I? I just realized it.
Perfect.
Send me the
I get
link.
the benefit.
All right, well, we're gonna wrap for today. So I thought today's show was a lot of fun. So nice to have Paul back on the show. So great to see him doing better. If you guys haven't been following Paul's health ordeal, it was just absolutely, just scary, about the scariest thing you can ever possibly imagine hearing from a doctor. And in a very short period of time, he went from having this diagnosis to having this procedure done, and now he's going through recovery. So, Paul, I know you're watching or listening. We love you and we salute you for going through all this and being a real good role model on how to behave when you're under extreme stress. Because Paul was doing the podcast while he was going through the ordeal of finding out really what his problem was. And he's completely cancer free, and he's going to have a long, happy, healthy life, and he'll be here for generations for us to make fun of. So, guys, thank you for joining us today. I thought it was a great show. In the meantime, please like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, obviously, if you're over on iTunes, it'd be great if you could give us a 5-star review, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher. Help us get the word out. We have a mission of being the go-to podcast for obviously Porsche nerds, but nerds in general who really want to, feel like they're sitting around a campfire with some friends talking about the things that, frankly, in their lives, they probably can't find too many other people to talk to about, which is cars. That's what our show is all about. So you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the show next week.